All right. Let's go ahead and give ourselves a few minutes here. Let everybody hop in. Maggie with the incredible backdrop. Welcome, welcome. Right. And I know Rory got a little tied up, so hopefully he can hop on here with us. So, all right. All right, well, let me go ahead and just start by saying thank you, everybody, for joining us. Today we're going to talk about building a referral business. And this is something that is, near and dear to me. And taking a look at what's going on and talking with so many different agents, building a referral business is something that continues to come up. With that being said, Maggie here, and we're going to start digging in a little bit more, is somebody that I have seen in terms of, hey, Rory.
On. Hey, Mark. Hey, Maggie.
How's it
Hi.
going?
How are you?
Doing well. Just getting started here. I was just kind of sharing that, everybody talks about building a referral business and how important that is for them. So let's go ahead and kind of get started here. I want to introduce our panelists. First, I'm going to start with Maggie. Maggie, can you please tell us where you're located, how long you've been in the industry, and kick us off?
Yeah, I'm in Los Angeles and I have the Compass Torrance office, and I've been in the business for 20 years. Don't look old enough, I know, but starting when I was 12.
I love it. Rory, just about everybody here knows you at this point, but just in case they don't, what is your current position at Compass?
So Rory Golod, I'm our president of growth and communications. I've been with Compass since December 2014, so coming up on 10 years, and I oversee our growth team, which is the team that's responsible for bringing great agents and companies into Compass. Communications, which is all communications we do. That also includes events. I also oversee our coaching team, and when I find some free time, I also run our Northeast business. And if any of you need anyone doing an open house over the weekend, you can throw that in there. What's one more job at this point?
So part of what makes this so incredible is these two are two of the busiest humans I have ever met in my life. Both are also parents, incredible parents, working very hard, doing a lot for the industry and for Compass. So I just want to say thank you both for being here today.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So Maggie, back to you. Let's just quickly touch on some of the basics with your business. You have a team. I'd love to hear a little bit more about them. And then do you mind sharing a little bit more about your average sales volume, number of transactions per year, just some of the data?
Yeah, so there's a total of 4 members. It's myself. I have an ops manager who's been with me like for 14 years. I've got 1 assistant and 2 licensed agents. One of my licensed agents with me for 9 years. And over the last 3 years, we've averaged a little bit over 100 million and on average about 84 transactions.
That's incredible. And then in terms of like price point, anything else, is there anything you specialize in, listings, buyers, split 50-50?
No, we're all referral based. So if you're a good person and you're coming from a good person, we're happy to help you. So anything from like 500 of, 10 million plus, like we're about the people more than anything.
I love that. We're going to dig into that a little bit more. So Rory, so coming up on 10 years, what are all of the positions that you have held with Compass? I feel like you have done so many different things even right now. So what are the different positions over the years?
All right. So there's been a lot. My first role at Compass was I traveled the country and basically launched Compass in different markets. So I'd go to, California for a couple months, the Hamptons, DC, and basically post up in that market and then build the operations from there. So I got to firsthand, meet a lot of our agents early on, but also kind of get things going in those areas and really learn the business of brokerage. Then I became Robert's chief of staff. So I was working alongside him for 2 years as the company really grew and expanded. Kind of we're in that hyper growth period. Being his chief of staff was by far the most incredible professional and personal experience in many ways of my career. And then after that, I took on leadership roles overseeing the Northeast region. So first just running New York, then running the Northeast. Then I ran our whole East Coast business. Then I ran our West Coast business, which was very difficult living in New York. And then most recently in this role of leading growth and communication. So I've done just about every job you can imagine. I've been on countless listing presentations with agents. I've recruited, tons of our agents. I've helped, I've basically been in every part of a transaction or an agent's day-to-day business in some capacity. I've even been a sales manager for a hot second, which terrified our compliance people, but we're still here. So I think it was all good.
I love it. So everybody can tell we have a lot of really amazing perspective between the two of you. So let's go ahead and kind of dig in. So Maggie, I was fortunate enough to be Maggie's sales manager, South Bay, Los Angeles, some years back. And one thing that I always saw with Maggie that she's known for is she always puts the extra touch on client engagement, and she's really built a reputation. So Maggie, in terms of that client engagement and the extra touch, do you mind sharing what that looks like? Not just the what, but the how.
Yeah. I always think it's so big picture. I always think it's about the energy that we bring and how we make our clients feel. It's really, there's a saying that says people don't care what you know until they know it, that they know that you care. And so big picture, we always try to treat each of our clients like they're our only clients. They know we have other clients, but we want them to always feel like they're our only clients. We make sure that our responses are very timely. I mean, to the point that it's minutes, to where they'll be like, why are you responding to us right now? And we're like, because you're important to us, right? We also tend to over communicate. So if we have talked to them on the phone, we will take that conversation, put it right back into an email, and then text them, thank you so much for talking to us. Like, we make sure that every piece of the process is really organized and well communicated, and they just feel like they're only people, like they matter to us. It's also very important to me that we anticipate the needs of our clients. Many times they're first-time buyers or they've bought homes before, but they don't know what they don't know and what they need, and we try to get ahead of that. I mean, something simple that we do is, like, when we have a client in escrow, we go and give them all the neighbors' information all around them, the house, 3 houses in front of them, the 3 houses behind them, the houses next to them, and we say, Google away, right? Because, and they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't think to like see what my neighbors were like, right? And so we just try to anticipate those little things that can happen after post-close that we know could be an issue. Again, it comes always back to like making sure they feel cared for and that they really see our heart, because our heart is truly like what is best for them. And then when it comes like the little things, like we track our clients' children's names, their pet names, we track when they have babies, we track their home anniversaries. We really try to personalize all of our care to them. Like, our gifts to them are very personalized. I mean, I even saw on Facebook, like, one of our clients like lost their dog. And so when we saw that, I immediately sent them the book Dog Heaven by Cynthia Rylant to let them know that, like, hey, like, I have a dog too, and my dog passed, and like, this was really good for my kids to read Dog Heaven. So really just try to do big picture of love and just wrap them in a blanket, and then small picture of like just touching them with the personal things to make sure that they do know that it truly is genuine, not just an act. That kind of help.
Yeah. Well, Maggie, one follow-up on that is, as a team leader, and we have some really great team leaders I can see on here, the level of continuity for making sure that, because your team members are so incredible. So how do you ensure, has it been over the years, or how has that developed where your clients are serviced at the same level all the time?
Well, I'm really obnoxious to work for. So if you ever talk to them, I'm like crazy on top of them. Um, we have a standard for everything, right? Like, we have a standard for when we need to do certain things at certain times and how we do them. And it's just expected. And to be honest, if they don't do it, I call them out. And the last thing you want to be in a meeting with me and I'm like, and so we didn't send out that email. And then one of my agents will immediately be like, that was me, And so just keeping them accountable for it. And then honestly, I feel like I do pick agents and people who have the same heart as I do. We all have the same passion. We all have the same heart of what's best for our clients, not just for, like, the money comes with doing the right thing, but we're not in it for the money, if that makes sense. And I think they agree with the model, and their heart is in that model with it. So it's just find the right tribe in my team.
Absolutely. And also, very quickly, the Q&A is open if everybody wants to go ahead and put some questions in there. We are going to get to those at the very end. And yes, there will be a playback of this. So Rory, back to you. So Compass has been #1 for 3 years in a row now. From your vantage point of everything you've seen, what is it that makes Compass so successful?
Wow, that's a good question. I think there are things that have made us very successful from a practical perspective, right? So let's talk about kind of like the practical, but then maybe sort of more the emotional or sort of the less tangible. The tangible is just, I think we have, as a company, been able to provide more infrastructure, tools, and resources to agents than any other company. I'm not saying we're the best company. That's up to our agents to decide what's the best company. But I can unequivocally say that there's no company that gives agents more things that they can use to grow their businesses and be successful than Compass, right? And for some people at Compass, it's the technology, right? That's honestly, that's almost like an easy one because no brokerage has a technology platform. So just by having one, you're a step ahead. But for some people, it's the platform and all that it helps our agents do. For some people, it's the referral network. We're going to spend time talking about that today. It's something I'm very passionate about. I think it's maybe the most underutilized aspect of our company. Almost 1 in 5 deals that we do as a company are inter-Compass referrals, agent-to-agent referrals. That is by far the highest in our industry. For some people, it's the brand. For some people, it's human support. For some people, it's programs like Compass Concierge. But there's another thing for some people, and this is where I think actually what's made us most successful is for a lot of people, it's the culture. At the end of the day, the reason why I believe that we've been so successful is because one, I think our employees and our agents work harder and give more to what they do than other companies. I have not yet seen leaders at brokerages go to the lengths for their agents that I see the leaders at Compass do. Right. All you need to know there is just go on Robert Refkin's Instagram. Go on Robert Refkin's Instagram and then go on the Instagram of the CEOs of the other, big brokerages. What you will see if you actually do this exercise, because I did it myself the other day. I know Robert's Instagram like the back of my hand because I see everything he posts. I'm involved in half of them. And it blew me away. Like here's the CEO of our company going to open houses with his family every Sunday, taking his kids on spring break to California and bringing them to open houses while they're supposed to be on spring break. Here he's, flying to offices all over the place. Last week, I was in Southern California. Robert was in Miami. Netta was in another region. You might have more listings or a different brand or whatever, but you're not going to outwork us and you're not going to outwork our agents. And so one, I think that has helped us. Two, I think the passion, the energy, the desire to get better. I always say people who come to Compass definitionally want to get better and grow. If you are content and you don't want to get better, you probably aren't going to come to Compass. And so when you create a company where the culture is we want to get better, we want to do it in a collaborative way where we push one another, where we help each other, where we're transparent, where it's not a zero-sum game or I won this listing, you lost. When you create an environment like that, I think that's what makes the company successful. And I think that's the thing that it's hard to describe, it's hard to feel, but if you can build that in a company, you can do great things. And so that's it.
I love that. I have to echo that sentiment. So when I joined as an agent in San Francisco in 2017, it was real early days. And at that time, Robert was coming out there every week. He was out there. It was almost, we were building the tech on the fly. I remember joining and they were like, listen, right now it's just like the small group of hitters in San Francisco, but we had each other's backs and we made it happen and we kind of took over there. And then when I went to manage in SoCal, it was, I have to give a shout out to the sales managers, the managing directors of this company, the staff, every position of staff, the hardest workers I've ever seen at any brokerage. And I've been in this 22 plus years. And to just see how much they care, and so when you see that level of nothing's ever going to be perfect in the world, but when you have that much care that's put into it and managers who care so much about their agents and the staff who show up to do what they can, it's a really amazing thing to see. So I think for me, that's really what I take a look at. It's all the things, Rory, that you had mentioned, but it's also taking a look at just how much care is involved on so many different levels. And going back to all the agents that care so much about being professionals and having the standards and doing this the right way with integrity and ethics. So it's a really amazing thing to take a look at. Maggie, every agent basically says, I want to build a referral business. I want to repeat and referral business. I want to repeat and referral business. Well, you've done this. As you've said, almost every bit of your business is repeat or referral. Has it mainly been client referrals, agent referrals, vendor referrals, or is it, please tell us, how have you done it?
Yeah, it's a great question. I'm going to go back to what Rory just said about agents really quick. I always say, if you're not growing, you're dying. And so that is part of the reason why I came to Compass. I was at a company for 15 years and I was like, I'm just here, right? And so I was like, Compass has something different, something better. And there's no question my business has done better because I've been here, and the staff is incredible. I agree with you. So I do have a referral business, and what's great about that is, regardless of what company I'm at, my business can come with me, which is really nice. And I think I would say the majority of my business, 70% is probably client referrals. I would say about 20% is agent referrals, which I would like to build on. And that's where I think the real estate referral is going to be great. And then about 10% is vendor referral. From a client referral perspective, our goal is back to just taking care of our clients so much. I always say, by the end of the transaction, I want them to be walking, talking billboards for me. Because I want them to be so happy that they don't even know like how not to talk about me, right? Or not to, like, someone says real estate, I don't care if you're in line at the grocery store, like turn around and you want to say you have to use Maggie, or it's gonna be horrible for you, right? We also take care of them like really well during the escrow process, again, anticipating their needs. But the big thing I think for us is we continue to stay in touch with them after the close of escrow. So we email them, we text them, we stop by their houses, we throw client events, really just to constantly like remind them and be top of mind to them. I mean, we do some traditional events that every year our clients are like, oh my God, my kid is looks forward to that event, or, my kid outgrew it. And it's really fun to see the kids grow up together and like really watch that progress. I have pictures of like me holding them, their babies, and then now they're like running around and they're too cool for me. So it really is about like just kind of keeping that relationship going even after we close escrow with them. From an agent perspective, it's attending the Compass events and really just trying to meet more people. But we also send monthly emails to our partnering agents to share ideas with them. So most recently, we sent one for Mother's Day. So when we have something that works for us, we try to send it out to the other agents to give them ideas and, again, value add, not just, oh, I'm here, refer me business, right? So we try to give value add to them. And so we did a Mother's Day event that was really successful, where we had people come and pick up flowers to bring to their moms. And so we shared how we did it. And then we shared how we gave them maps of like, where to go to explore after they picked up, like kind of an Instagram, like pick up the flowers and then take your mom to here for eat. And then these are some options. And then here's where you can take some pictures with mom. And so we did that and we shared it with agents out there. And I have a client and a friend in Orlando who loved it and did it for Mother's Day this past weekend. And he took that same idea and had a spin on it, which was really fun. And so I was like, oh, I like that spin. And so we might incorporate that later into ours. So it's really just trying to add value to, our clients, but also our referring agents. And then from a vendor perspective, honestly, a lot of our vendors have lots of different agents they work with. So it's really hard to be like, refer me and not, a really great person in my office next door. So we don't always go after them as much, but I will say what's the biggest compliment for us is that many times those vendors actually use us as their agents. They see what we do for our clients. They see the care that we do. They see that we fight for them. They see how they matter to us. And when they go to sell or buy, they're like, don't tell anyone else, but like, we're calling you because we know you're going to take care of us. And I think it just comes from that same place, just comes from the heart of doing the right thing. And hopefully that, compounds. Does that answer that question, or did I go way too far?
No, not at all. I actually want to dig in a little bit more on this.
Okay.
So clients love you. I saw it firsthand. Vendors, as you said, it's a compliment whenever they come back. Let's talk about agent referrals.
Yeah.
And I'd like to dig in a little bit more on that in terms of what is it that you may look for in referral partners, other agents, whether, it's going to be locally or around the country. What is it that you're looking for?
For me specifically, because my clients like know how I do my business, they're looking for something similar to me, right? They're looking for someone who's got experience and somebody who cares, right? And so what I'm looking for is I am looking for probably a certain amount of years in the business so that they have that experience. I'm looking probably for a certain amount of volume because I want to know that they've done it enough times for experience. And then honestly, I'm looking for heart. I'm really looking for somebody who's not in it for themselves, who's in it for our clients and and the money will again come with doing a good job, not like, oh, that's going to be this much commission. 75% of that is this. Like, that's not, I need somebody who is going to care. We just actually referred to somebody and our client came back and they said that they were going to help us. And then they saw the house and they decided it's not for them. Like, that's not how it works, right?
Yeah.
That's not how it works.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
you know, person will be off my list for ever sending an email on how to do their business. They'll be off my partner list and we'll be finding someone better.
And then if you refer a client and everything goes well, as generally it does, minus this one that we will not name names, but what's your follow-up procedure to express gratitude to your referral partners?
Yeah, so we usually we'll refer them, and when we refer them, we typically do a very big boost them up. So we're like, oh, we're referring Rory, and we wanted to let you know he's awesome, and I see him regularly, or I talk to him regularly, and then here's some reviews about his clients, and so we really give him boost him up to make sure that he gets all the he doesn't have to sell himself, right? That we've already sold him for. And then throughout the process, we'll just check in to be like, hey, do you need help? Do you need things? What can we do to help you? How can we back you up on it? And then in addition, we're really good, back to the same call notes and pop buys. We're very big on doing those things with our clients, with our referring partners too, is sending them, cards. And I get people who say I don't know if you remember, you wrote me a card after this, and I'm like, yeah, of course. We appreciate what you do. So, and then we also do pop buys. We send things to referring agents too, just to make sure that they know that we're here and to always remember us. So again, just always trying to add value and be top of mind for them too.
I love that. That's incredible. So, Rory, data shows that Compass agents do more transactions than many of the other brokerages. And, we've already been talking about the professionalism, collaboration tools. What else do you contribute to the outstanding results of just the productivity that we see from the Compass agents?
Yeah, it's a few things. One, we recruit agents to Compass that are already more productive, right? So we're starting from that point where we don't hire new agents, right? Our agents can bring on agents to their teams, but we're not hiring new agents. So we're already starting a step ahead. I think the average gross commission income of a Compass agent, I haven't checked the stat in a little while, but it's probably somewhere around $300,000 to $350,000.
Yeah.
The average gross commission income of an agent at, take one of the other big brokerages, a standard traditional big brokerage, you're probably looking at 40 to 50,000. A sort of discount cap model company, you're probably looking at 10 to 15,000, right? So you're already starting off with just so much more in terms of experience and ability, I think. The second part is, look, a lot of what we talk about at our company every single day is about how to get better, as I mentioned earlier, and grow. So the conversations we're having are not about other companies. The conversations we're having are not about, oh my God, what's happening in the industry? What are we going to do? The sky is falling. The conversations we're all having every single day are, how do we take advantage of the things we have to grow our businesses? And I think that environment, as I said earlier, contributes to that. And so ultimately, you put great agents. I almost think of it, use this analogy. Compass is basically like an Equinox gym or a Lifetime Fitness that's filled with athletes.
Yeah.
So athletes are already in good shape and they already know how to train. And if you take a great athlete and you put them in an excellent gym and a great training facility, one of the really nice ones, it's got AstroTurf everywhere and machines and cold plunges and, juice bar, they are going to go all out and they're going to get into the best shape of their lives and feel amazing. Those same athletes could train in their backyard and figure it out too, and they'd be fine. You can't take someone off the street who's not a great athlete, just throw them in an Equinox or a Lifetime Fitness and expect them to get into shape in a week. It doesn't work that way. Yeah. And so I think that's and then when you put those great athletes around each other, what do? They learn, they collaborate, they push one another. I think that's ultimately what's done that and what's driven that. There are technical things I could tell you.
Yeah.
Shout out to Likely to Sell. All of you, if you're not reaching out to your Likely to Sell recommendations, you should be. They converted an 8% rate. But yes, you can make the argument that aspects of the platform like that have helped agents make more money and be more productive. Referrals, right? The fact that almost 1 in 5 deals we're doing is an intercompany referral means that our agents are able to be more efficiently productive. So those are all the things that contribute to it.
Love all of that. And, I'll just say that collaborate without ego has been, one of the mainstays in my journey throughout everything with Compass of just everybody wants to see each other succeed. And nobody is threatened by each other's success. So when we talk about, it's like Maggie, just you even being here, Rory, you being here, everybody showing up for each other, and we connect at different points, years back doing different things, and the role might change and the location might change. But there's this collaboration with the agents to say, hey, you know what? This is a little bit higher than my normal price point. Do you mind coming in and let's co-list this? And I would love to learn from you. And that agent says, you know what? I would love to teach you and mentor you and show you, because guess what? We're in this together. So I just want to give a shout out to all of you on this call, because that collaboration is something in this industry that I do think sets Compass apart from every other brokerage from what I've seen firsthand.
Yeah.
So Maggie, let's pivot a little bit, NAR, the changes, a lot of the changes coming up, obviously it's one of the, it's, you've heard me say a lot that this is an opportunity for the experts, the professionals to go gain more market share, right? We were talking yesterday, maybe a third of agents might leave. Who knows what it might shake out, but power in numbers, right? We also talked about nothing is really changing for those who have confidence and have a referral business. And that's, kind of going back to it. So what are your thoughts in terms of everything coming up? And is anything changing for you and your business?
I think it's a lot of noise. Things are changing and we have to think about that and we have to pivot on that, but I think it's a bunch of noise. So I feel like if we give too much attention to the noise, then that gives our clients attention to the noise. And so I try to avoid some of that. I personally think, and no one here please get upset with me, because I personally love that we're having to do the buyer broker agreement, and that I think it's amazing. I think that we should have been doing it before. And I love that we're sort of all making a standard or a requirement to do it in the future. I know that like many times, like your client's going to open house and you're going like, God, I hope, that other agents who's a slime ball isn't going to try to like tell my client that they'll do it for less money. And my client will then go there. Like, you don't have to worry about any of those things. If you buy a broker agreement, that we're committed to each other. You're not wasting time with somebody who's maybe working with 5 other agents at the same time saying, oh, if you bring me the listing, I'll work with you. I love it. So sorry, but I love it. It really
This is what makes Maggie Ding, everybody. I just want to say thank you again for being here. Please continue.
All right. As everyone's like, giving me the little finger on the chat right now. But like, for me, the business hasn't changed that much. We've had to think about like, how do we share the information with our clients? But for the most part, it hasn't changed that much. Our sellers, because it's a referral business, already trust us. They trust us from either done business from us before, or they trust us because they were told to trust us. And so they don't really question things. I mean, we're doing a sale right now on a client on Barry in LA, and our client said, hey, Maggie, I know there's a lot of noise going around with this whole commission thing. I'm just letting you know, like, I trust you, do what you do, and I'll sign whatever you got. And I'm like, perfect. I didn't do a 7% commission, right? I didn't go like, oh, he's an idiot, he trusts me. I did a standard commission that I thought was reasonable to bring in the right buyer for the property. So I will say the main difference I do get is probably in the last 2 weeks, I've probably been interviewed about 5 times. And in every one of those buyer interviews, I've been asked, like, how do you get paid? So I am getting that question more. But again, it feels pretty simple to answer, right? I said, in the previous model, you were paying me, and in the new model, you're paying me. It's the same thing. It's just a matter of how it structurally looks. So it will my fees will be baked into the price the way it currently is, or if my fee is not baked into the price, we're going to check, sorry, this is a California RPA G318, And that will then put my commission into there, or we will do a credit for concessions. So you're paying me before, you're paying me now. It's just, we're going to talk about it a little bit more, and that's it. And they usually go, okay, yeah, you should get paid, right? And so you will get paid. We're good. And that's usually how it ends. So I just feel like, the less fear we bring around it, the less fear our clients will bring around it. And honestly, it's the energy that we bring to the table on it that will change, that will dictate how our clients feel. So I really hope that people in this just can build that confidence that it's really not that different. And it's actually a good thing. Sorry.
No. So going back to confidence, Maggie, when you say that, for somebody who might be a little bit more junior in the industry, is there anything you would suggest to them in terms of building their confidence, when they're going to have that conversation? I've as a coach, I've spoken with many different agents, and we role play and we talk about it. And really it just comes down to also understanding your value and believing in your value.
Yep.
But is there anything that you would want to share with them that they could do to kind of improve their confidence, or at least believe in that value?
Yeah. So number one is fake it till you make it. Right? Just, you gotta, and then I think the other thing that I had to do for myself too is the noise that I hear. I'm like, okay, feels very complicated. And so what I did was I took time to break it down for myself, to break it down to 1, 2, 3 for myself. And once I did that, it was very easy to explain it, right? I took something complicated. I know that there's 3 ways to solve it, where nothing's going to happen. We're going to put it in the RPA G318, or we're going to do a credit. That's simple, right? That's the solution. So if I bring it down to simplicity, then it's very easy for me to explain it, right? Nobody actually wants a technicality on it. Oh my God, there's a lawsuit in Missouri, blah, blah, blah. And the lawyer's an ass. Nobody cares about that stuff. They just want to care how you're going to service them and how you're going to solve the problem for them, that they're not going to have to come out of money out of their pockets. So just take the big problem and bring it down to just 3 baby steps for you to be able to communicate that.
Love that. Thank you for that. So Rory, as soon as all these changes got proposed and everything started coming out, Compass really stepped up: training sessions, collateral, everything else. From where you sit, is there anything in particular, as it's May now, July became August, but is there anything in particular that you feel is the most critical, to piggyback on what Maggie shared, that agents should be focused on?
Yeah. So as Maggie actually captured it so well, so I'm almost going to just paraphrase what she said. In reality, so much is changing and nothing is changing. That concept sounds very diametrically opposed to each statement, but it's very much true. What really happened was on March 15th, I believe that was the Friday, our industry, our clients got this huge infomercial that they should start negotiating with us. Let's really step back and think about it. That's really what happened. You had all these articles go out into the world, many of which were factually incorrect, untrue, headlines that were quite misleading. In fact, I had conversations with the reporter from the New York Times and the reporter from CNN who wrote both those articles, trying to understand why they were saying things like the 6% commission is dead, NAR slashes commissions when 6% commission is not a rule. NAR doesn't set commissions. So how are you saying? There was no interest in the facts. It was just about how do we get engagement and clicks. So really what it was this big commercial to our clients that, hey, you can negotiate, which has always been the case. Now we sort of fast forward. One, that is, I think that the interest around it has dissipated a little bit, right? Because it's sort of in the rearview mirror, and it's going to continue to be in the rearview mirror. I don't see that many people talking about this in 6 to 12 months. But what I think agents should be focused on, given that, there's going to be the technical changes, which everyone will figure out. That stuff's not hard. The buyer broker agreement, another point to add to what Maggie said, there are thousands of Compass agents right now who've been signing buyer exclusive agreements since the day we launched in their markets. So just know, if any of you are nervous about that, there are thousands of agents who've been doing these. In the greater DC area, buyer broker agreements have been in place since the early 90s. So there are thousands of Compass agents in Washington, DC alone, where we have, almost 30% market share, and thousands of amazing agents who, to them, this is like, okay, no big deal. So you have many colleagues who are doing this now successfully. What I would think about and keep in mind is, one, use this as an opportunity to just tighten your pitch, your narrative, and your conversation with clients. One of the things that I always coach agents on is practice your pitch. You can't do it enough. I don't care if you're 100 for 100 on listing presentations. You haven't lost one in 10 years. You should still practice. You should practice your conversation with buyers. You should practice when someone asks you, well, how are you going to sell my home faster than another agent for more money and with less hassle? Right? All these things should be things that we're practicing constantly and we're getting really sharp and really tight on. Get comfortable in bringing the technology and the tools that we have into the conversation. When I've been in listing presentations and I've seen agents walk in, I did a listing presentation a few weeks ago with an agent where we were one of 5 agents that they were meeting with. And we walked in, we had an iPad. Some of you have heard me share this many times when I speak. We showed the seller 3 tools and how we are, as the agent and Compass, I sort of kind of pretended I was part of the agent's team, how we are going to use these tools to help sell your home faster for more money with least hassle. We had an iPad, 3 tools, 15 minutes in, they said they would list with us. They canceled the following 2 meetings, right? So it is very possible to do that, right? If I can do it, all of you can do it. That came from practice. That's because I've done that, I've done that conversation thousands of times. So first thing is, use this as a moment to just say, you know what? This is a time to go in and just tighten up the basics and get really comfortable. It'll reduce your anxiety around the moment, and it'll also help you run a better business. The second thing is, lean in to this conversation. Everyone else is leaning back. Everyone's like, oh, what do we say? What do we do? I see at the company level, the reason, Compass only knows one way to operate, which is, okay, the news broke on Friday. I guess Monday morning, we're launching everything and going all out, right? We didn't have a moment to say, what do we do? We're just like, okay, we'll figure it out. Let's go. And that's why we sit here now, and our agents are better prepared, and I think in a much better state of mind from what I've seen. And so I encourage all of you to use that, because many of your colleagues are going to either procrastinate and not really figure out how to deal with this moment. They're going to do nothing. Or worse, some of them might retreat inward and get scared and get triggered and get anxious. And so when I say lean into it, I would go right in the conversation, and a client asks you, say, oh yeah, I'd be happy to explain what happened. By the way, just explaining the basic framework here, which is, there was this lawsuit that really wasn't connected to what we do day to day in terms of helping you sell your home. But because of that lawsuit, we had some rule changes. And now the buyer commission, the compensation we offered to the buyer's agent, we're not going to put that in the MLS. It's going to go on our listing page and all of our marketing. That's all that changed. That's it. If you pause there, because that's, for a seller, that's all that changed. You don't have to go on, as Maggie said, I don't think many clients even know what the MLS stands for, right? And then nor should they. And so focus on that. Lean into it. Leaning in with confidence and saying, look, this isn't really a big change. Let's focus on how we're going to, again, sell your home for the most money, least amount of hassle, and as fast as possible. This conversation will become very smooth. And so that's what I would be focused on right now. Everything else is noise that's intended to distract you. And those that don't get distracted tend to do quite well.
I love that. Thank you for that. One thing that I learned a long time ago that I think by and large many of us might forget is that we speak the language of real estate. We speak it every day. The average citizen, civilian does not speak real estate. And human nature is, a lot of folks are afraid to ask questions just because they don't want to look like, people want to feel like they know, right? It's optics, it's ego, pride, whatever it is. So when you can make things as simple and easy to understand, it's going to make them feel comfortable, right? So like Maggie, when you said breaking it down into the 3, it's when you're talking with the buyer, expect them to not know. They saw some fear-mongering CNN headline. Agents have been taking advantage of you for the last 50 years. It is an organized crime racket. All this other stuff, you're like, wow, wait a minute, what? And so this is what they just read coming in on their phone while they were, and for you to just very openly, calmly, in a very simple way, explain what's going on. or explain how you get paid and break it down for them. So I think it's just very spot on, and practicing that pitch. You know, one strategy that I use a lot is practice different scenarios. Think about the different types of questions, but also the different types of personalities that you might be dealing with, right? I mean, for me, I'm a numbers data guy. So when I was selling in San Francisco, my clients were on our spreadsheets. We're loving life with numbers and data. That's very different than somebody who they don't care about the data. They want to just have the conversation and the feel, right? So think about the different types of conversations you're going to have and how to make that feel more comfortable, where they feel safe and seen and heard, right? Okay, so Maggie, back to you on this. You know, one thing about this entire change, a lot of folks are talking about discounts, discounting commission. There's a lot of fear out there in terms of, okay, everything's just going to turn into, 1%, 1.5%, or flat fee, all this other stuff. Well, you've never been a discount agent and you've consistently grown. And, correct me if I'm wrong, you don't seem too worried about where the industry is going. So how do you handle discount requests? And do you even get discount requests?
So I will not say I never have discounted. I'm not perfect. So I have discounted before, but I very rarely do it. And I very rarely get asked to do it. And I won't do it because I just don't do discount work. I don't know how to do my job less than. So if you want to pay me less, I don't really know how to do a less than job. And so it just doesn't work for me. It just at this point in my career, I love doing what I do. I just passionately love it. And I want somebody to benefit from that who deserves to be benefiting from that, if that makes sense. I also, when I get referral business, the last thing I want someone to say is, oh my God, you should use Maggie. She's super cheap. Like, that's not the referral I want. I want someone to refer me to say like, oh my gosh, you have to use Maggie because she will take such great care of you and you never have to worry about your house. She will know your house inside, outside, even 10 years from now. So you can call her at any point. Like, she's got you. That's what I want. That's what I want people to call me for. I mean, my husband got LASIK surgery a while ago, it was the other day, and we could have used anyone, right? We could use anyone and it would have probably been fine. But we decided to go to Beverly Hills and use Tiger Woods surgeon, right? Nothing wrong with using someone else, but we personally wanted to increase our odds of success. So we chose someone better, or someone more experienced potentially, right? And so just because somebody wants a discount agent, to me, it's not like I'm not going to get mad at them. My view is like, we're just not the right fit. And that's okay, right? And it's okay that I'm not the right fit for you, because if I give my time to somebody who doesn't deserve it or doesn't respect or understand it, then I'm not giving time to other people who actually deserve it. So it's very easy for me to say, no, I won't do it. And I, again, don't get asked very much because the referrals are coming to me because they're looking for Tiger Woods surgeon. They're not looking for, TJ Maxx, right? Not that TJ Maxx, I mean, I'm at Home Goods all the time. So not, but does that make sense? Like, they're looking for the Saks purchase. They're not looking for, the discount purchase. And again, I'd shop at both. It depends on what the situation is. In my opinion, the largest investment of your life probably should go for, Tiger Woods, surgeon, or Saks, personally. But again,
I would just add to that. I think something you said, Maggie, that really resonated with me is a lot of clients are confused with how buying and selling a home works. You alluded to this as well, Mark. And I think we all have to remember that. We do this every day. We understand this at a very deep and profound level. Most clients don't. And so when a client's pushing you to cut your commission or you're trying to get a discount from you, it doesn't always mean that they don't think you're great or whatnot. They might just not know. They might just think this is what you do. Right? Think about it. We're told to negotiate in every part of our lives. And so I always tell agents, think about it from a perspective of confusion and clarity. Assume that your client is in some state of confusion, either minor or major confusion. And agents are fantastic at creating clarity for their clients. Think about all the challenges your clients go through when they're thinking about, should I sell? What do I do? The therapist role that many of you play when you're trying to help clients through these transactions, and apply that to this part of the conversation. Assume for a moment they don't know. So you start from a place of, let me explain how it works. And let me explain how the professional fees. I was with an agent last week in Southern California, Jim Wahlberg, who's a Northern California agent, who's a legend at Compass. And he said, I don't call it a commission anymore. I'm calling it a professional fee. This is the, I've heard, Ron Phipps in Rhode Island say, this is the success-based fee that I receive if the outcome is successful. Remember, I do not get paid if we do not sell this property. We could do this for, imagine going and doing what you do for 6 months and not getting paid, right? So, but let me explain how this works and walk them through the transaction. Walk them through all the things that you do. Give them a taste of, I always encourage agents to do this, give them a taste of a couple of things that go wrong in transactions. Give them a little bit of the pain, little pain. So, all right, this is how it works. And let me share, this is really important. In fact, I had a transaction last year where this thing happened. Explain like a really scary scenario and how you save the day. You give them a couple of those and give them the full clarity of this. So then you bring it back to, this is why I charge the professional fee that I do, because of those suite of things. Now, if you're uncomfortable with that fee, we should really have a discussion more so around, what's the end goal you want? If you want to sell your home for a certain price, you want to sell it quickly, I think we can get aligned that the financial outcome to you is going to be more beneficial. My commission is a fraction of the value of this property. Right. So if this home is $1 million and we're talking about you wanting to pay me 5% versus 6% or 4% versus 6% or whatever, we're talking 1 to 2%. Right. But what we really should be talking about is the other 98%, the other 95, the other 94%. That's actually what matters more than anything, because if I can get this home sold in a certain period of time, I'll actually save you money if you pay me, even if you pay me a full professional fee. If I can get multiple bids and we can, again, can't promise it, but if I'm able to get a higher price for this property, then you will have made money. And if I can sell this property without any hassle, without a deal like that situation I just described, where their deal falls apart the last minute, we got to start all over again, then you will probably feel very comfortable paying me. And that's why I charge what I do, because I do that successfully all the time. And I love Maggie's point, which is, think about yourself as Tiger Woods' surgeon. Think about yourself as Sachs and go into those conversations. And this is the hardest part. Don't be afraid to lose it. If you go in there not afraid for the client to say, sorry, I can't, you'll actually get it all the time. It's when we hold on to it so tight, we're like, oh my God, that we almost have defeated ourselves to start. So
I love that. All right. So two more quick questions and then we'll get to the Q&A here. Maggie, is there any special sauce or anything at all that you do to create referrals? Full stop.
I get that question quite often, and I wish there was a magic pill, or I wish I had this like great personality, or I wish I looked like Selling Sunset, which I clearly don't. So there is no this special sauce. I think overall, is just over the last 20 years, I've just been consistently doing the right thing for my clients, consistently looking out for their best interests, consistently staying in touch with them, and consistently making them first. And they know that. And so, to Rory's point of like knowing all your, what to say and bring your value, the great thing about a referral business is that somebody else has told them your value. So I don't as often have to say, this is why you should hire me, because somebody else has already told them my value. So I'm not really fighting them as much as I'm adding on to it. So I think that's where the referral business does come into play, if you can keep building that.
And for everybody listening, please think about that, to really build your referral partners up when you're making the introduction. It's not just, oh, here's a name and a number and here's this agent. But I mean, Maggie, you're saying you provide reviews and context and a lot of background. So you're really baking that in. And to your point, you don't really have discount requests because you've been built up by your partners as well. Rory, from what you've seen, president of growth and communications, kind of every single role at this company in 10 years, is there any special sauce that you have seen with Compass agents or the top agents?
Yeah, a couple of things. I think one, practicing their craft, focusing on the basics. The basics are so important. You'd actually think that as agents become more successful, that they think less about the basics, but the ones who run what I call are the enviable businesses. The enviable businesses are the ones that where the agents generate a tremendous amount of income, but they do it in a sustainable way where they're not a slave to their business. Their business, they can take a vacation, they can spend time with their families. Those that run those businesses, they're very much in the basics. The basics are things like immediately after that conversation with the client, there is a follow-up. It is like clockwork. There is a tremendous amount of continuous communication. They're big over communicators. A convenient problem to have is a client says, you don't need to keep sending me in updates. Think about how good that would actually feel. A client's going to tell their friend, this agent was so attentive to my needs, I actually told them I don't need updates from them. So they're really good in the basics. Number two, they practice, right? As I said earlier, they're very good at articulating, and they don't get nervous because if you practice enough times, you've done something, you repeated it so much that you don't get nervous. I'd say the third thing, they think of their fellow agents as their clients as well. So, obviously a lot of the work that you're doing, Mark, with this group is about referrals. That line, I didn't make that line up. I've heard agents say, other agents are my clients too. And so what do? They go to the events, as Maggie said. Even if they don't go to the retreat and all the different events, or they go to their sales meetings, they reach out to their sales manager and say, hey, can you introduce me? By the way, if all of you did this, people can do this. They say, can you introduce me to someone in this market? They join groups like this, right? They work with people like you, Mark, and they say, hey, help me understand like how to build because building a referral business is not just, I want to meet 50 people. How do I meet the right people? How do I maintain? When I meet them, what do I say? I often say to agents, you actually can provide so much value. You talked about providing value to your referral partner agents. All of you can provide so much value by simply just sharing with other agents what's going on in your market. Now, why is that valuable? Because now I know something about a different part of this country. So when I go into a conversation with my client, I sound more in tune. I sound more worldly. And if I get the anecdotes of 5 or 6 markets from my colleagues, I have a conversation with a client and I can say, yeah, look, here's what's going on in your market. It's interesting. Here's what I've been talking to my colleagues around the country. We do this all the time. Here's what's going on in this market. Here's what's going on in that market. It just make you seem more engaged, more in touch. And they create value for those agents and they pay it forward. And if you pay it forward and they share with their referral partners, here are my best tactics. Here's how I market. Here's how I do this. Here's how I do that. You'll build this incredible network. And that's why when you look at the top agents at Compass, yes, they use the technology more than those who don't. Yes, they, are more engaged in the tools and all this, but they do more referrals. And I think because they treat that as a part of their business. So those are the things I'm seeing them do where it's having a real demonstrative impact. And the last part I'll just share is they're unemotional about things in their day-to-day business. And so here's what I mean. Just because they spent $15,000 last year on a marketing campaign, doesn't mean they have to spend $15,000 this year. Maybe they spend $5,000. Maybe they do something different. Just because they did something that worked doesn't mean it can't get better. They're not afraid to look at their business and say everything's on the table. And that can be a little scary, but I actually think, and I see Maggie smiling, I think that's where progress comes from, right? Think about it. 20 years ago, we weren't on this call. We didn't have this technology. Listings were in books. And so, looking at your business and being, okay, keep the things that are important. Everything else, be comfortable with changing and trying new things. And you'll blow yourself away with the results.
Love that. Maggie,
Yeah.
Maggie, what is one thing you know now that you wish you had known the first day you started in real estate?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm going to sound maybe really stupid here. I like looking at homes. So I thought I'd be a real estate agent so I could look at homes and that would be really fun. And so I guess now I know that it's not about looking at homes. It's far from that. We're their assistant, their confidant, their therapist, their advisor. I sometimes say their mama bear, their sister. I get called that like, hey sis, now we're there for the business part of it, but we're also there for their emotional needs. And I think that is something I did not know, that I was going to be someone who they needed to cry on or they needed to get their anxiety out with. And I think it's just, it's being there as their rock while they're doing it, but also giving them a hug while they're doing it, if that makes sense. And I find it's been much, much more meaningful than I ever thought it was going to be than just looking at homes. And I feel like I am so lucky and grateful to have like an amazing business, an amazing family that I can still be there. I have 3 kids and I get to really be there for them too. It's just, to be honest, it's like, I'm so grateful for the industry, and I just am grateful for everything. It's been incredible and much better than just looking at pretty homes.
I love that. Rory, if there's one thing you wish you had known the first day you started at Compass, what would it be?
One thing I wish I had known the first day I started. I would say how important, you don't have to be the loudest in the room to have the most impact. And I think that that's sort of very apropos, around this conversation, because I certainly felt like early in my career, especially coming into a business where I didn't know much about it. And, in the early days of Compass, I'm in rooms with incredibly successful agents and people who've been in this business 10, 15, 20 years. And so you feel a need to sort of have to like prove yourself. And as the company grew and we learned more and more and more, I kind of held on to that for a while. And then I started to realize that actually those that are the most impactful actually speak less. Now, in a forum like this, I'm going to speak a lot because this, and I love doing it. So this is what, or if I'm, on stage or presenting, so that's there. Let's take that off the table. But I've been in meetings like our executive committee meetings where I think about a lot of things and I'm like, I could share this. Just hold off. Because when I do share something, I want it to be really impactful. I want to give other people a space to share. I'm going to ask questions of other people. I'm not going to just listen to answer. I'm going to listen to learn. I saw this with one of our board members, Chuck Phillips, who, in our board meetings, he's probably the quietest, but when he speaks, everybody listens. And he just carries an aura with him. And so I've tried to kind of adopt that. And I think in the early days, I think it would have been more beneficial to listen more. And I think it's very, as I said, apropos to our agents in this situation, because oftentimes we feel like we have to talk more, we have to impress people. But in many cases, the best answers come from listening to your clients. Think about it in a listing presentation or a conversation with a client. You can talk and try to push through, but you also can listen, hear from them, ask questions until it's uncomfortable. So much so that you really feel like you really understand what matters. And then when you do share something or say something, it's going to be seen as profound and impactful. Some of that just comes with, I think, experience. Some of that comes with maturity. I was 28 years old when I started at Compass. I was a child. So, but I think that's probably been the thing.
I love that. And I'll just share this. When I was 18, a few weeks after I turned 18, I got my real estate license. And I went to work for a friend's father, Exit Realty, Daytona Beach, Florida, first starting out. And the broker, John Scotty, sat me down. He goes, Mark, let me just tell you this right now. Those who last in this business have a thing called integrity. And that means if somebody asks you a question and you don't know the answer, you say, I don't know, but I would love to find out and get back to you. The minute you start doing this, there goes your career and your reputation. So that's what you need to do. So I always remember that and just share that because I feel like that and the basics, right? Kind of what we've talked about this entire call, that the basics that are there is what just the enviable business, right? It just continues and continues. And as Maggie said, there are no shortcuts. There were some Q&A. I know we are right now at time. If everybody wants to reach out to Maggie at Maggie Ding, if there's any questions, follow-ups, whatever else. Rory, I think everybody knows Rory at Compass. If there's any questions, if anybody wants to reach out to me, please feel free. But thank you all so much for being here. Maggie, Rory, thank you both so much for making the time.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Everyone.